Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal 155 based on novel. So let's start. Wealth, the first sword that Wang Lin obtained at the Hengyu sect. It seemed that the moment the youth held that sword, everything in the future had been decided. Hundreds of years of karma flashed by from when he lost it to when he regained it. Wealth contained a soul technique of the previous generation's reigned celestial sword spirit. This soul technique was not a celestial spell, a Dao spell, or even an ability. It was a sword style. A powerful sword style that inherited the ancient sword intent. Wang Lin's held the celestial sword and looked at the formation that the Thunder Beast and Celestial Guard were constantly attacking. When the formation looked like it couldn't withstand another hit, he lifted the celestial sword. The calmness in his eyes were gone and it was replaced with a ray of sword light. At this moment, his entire body merged with the sword in his hand. The celestial sword rose. And it fell. This simple fall caused the heavens and earth to fall into darkness. Even the Celestial Guard and the Thunder Beast seemed to disappear at this moment. In the entire world, there was only this simple fall of the sword. This sword seemed like it was going to open the world, like it was about to tear through the chaos of the world. This sword gave off no sword energy or celestial spiritual energy, but this simple sword would shake the soul of anyone who saw it. The first to react was the Huan family's ancestor. His eyes jerked wide open, revealing a look of shock, and he exclaimed, This is law. It was as if the heavens and earth were being torn apart. This sound of tearing echoed in his mind. The dim heavens and earth seemed like they really were being torn apart. Not only him, but Huan Fengshan sucked in a breath of cold air. A monstrous killing intent came from the sword the moment it fell. The killing intent spread like crazy as it tore through Huan Fengshan's eyes and imprinted in his mind. Huan Fengshan's body suddenly stiffened. This is, Huan Fengshan's mind trembled. It was as if a sword had just pierced between his eyebrows and came out from the top of his head. He subconsciously took several steps back. With his late-stage ascendant cultivation, he wasn't able to see the law of the sword. However, he clearly felt that at the moment the sword fell, it seemed to contain a heavenly law, but even more, it contained the power to tear the heavens. Bang bang, bang bang, bang bang. Huan Fengshan could clearly feel his own heartbeat speed up. He had the illusion that he was going to collapse with the world. All of the Huan family direct descendants that were originally looking at the sky were filled with shock. That simple fall made them feel like they were part of it all, as if the fall of the sword that tore the world apart had torn them apart too. They were immediately covered in cold sweat. With their cultivation, they had no idea why it was like this, why they had such feelings even with the formation protecting them. The other party had simply lowered his sword. The fear of death began spread at this instant. Not only them, even the eyes of Qian Kuizi, who had been watching with his divine sense, shined brightly. He was inside the secret chamber of the Qian family's home, and he suddenly stood up. Law. That sword strike contains law. The pursuit of the second step is law. The first step is understanding the heavens, and the second step is converting that understanding into the power of laws. If this child is not someone from the Thunder Celestial Temple, how could he display such a sword strike? At the same time, a member of the Shu family noticed this scene. An old man from the Shu family was also watching the battle at the Huan family's home with his divine sense. Previously, he had come to an agreement with the Huan family to provide help. He had lifted his foot to leave, but at this moment, he gently put it down. This child's sword style is very strong. Although I'm not afraid of it, since he dared to challenge the Huan family, he must still have moves prepared. The sword fell, and at this moment, all of the sound in the world disappeared. The Huan family's formation collapsed without any real contact or blow landing on it. After withdrawing the sword, Wang Lin's expression was pale. However, his gaze became even colder as he stared at the Huan family below him. The impact the heaven chop had on the body was great, and it had nothing to do with cultivation. It relied on the origin energy from a close integration of the origin soul and the body. An ascendant cultivator's origin soul and origin energy are fused into one. However, The heaven chop can separate a part of that origin energy. An ascendant cultivator only has a fixed amount of origin energy, and once too much is lost, their cultivation regresses. Fortunately, Wang Lin had Ju Yi's ascendant crystal, so he had a bit more origin energy than most cultivators. The Huan family was completely silent. Huan Wuqing's gaze was even more gloomy as he looked at Wang Lin and coldly said, "I underestimated you. To have such a sword style at only the ascendant stage, you are indeed very strong. However, the gap between the first step and second step is too wide. If you had displayed that sword art with second step cultivation, it might have been interesting, but it is useless right now. Today you broke my Huan family's formation, so you will without a doubt die. Please, ancestral jade." The Huan family's ancestor let out a loud shout. A powerful force suddenly came from the Huan family's ancestral home. This force, which was filled with a sense of unity, spread like a celestial wind and surrounded the Huan family. A golden jade slowly floated into the air from a house nearby. This force of unity was coming from this jade. At the moment the jade appeared, it was as if a separate world had been carved out from the planet. It allowed the Huan family's ancestral home to become its own realm. The Huan family's ancestor stared at Wang Lin and revealed a sneer. Unless he had to, he wouldn't personally act, because he was too afraid of Wang Lin's sword energy. Earlier, when he asked Chen Kuizi to help, it was to waste Wang Lin's sword energy. The Huan family's formation was meant to do the same. However, he would never have imagined that Chen Kuizi would actually retreat instead of battling. The family's formation was broken not by the sword energy but by the combined force of the thunder beast, the puppet, and the law from the sword. Now he could only clench his teeth and call out the jade that their celestial ancestor had left them. This jade contained a spell of the celestial ancestor from the thunder celestial realm. The Huan family was able to reach the status they had today because of this jade and a treasure left behind by the celestial ancestor. Huan Wuqing thought, unfortunately, the celestial treasure disappeared along with Huan Wuxiang several thousand years ago. Otherwise, with that celestial treasure, there would be no need to call out the jade. The powerful force from the jade was like a gentle, spring breeze. It also gave off a bright color. After an instant, the jade seemed to melt, then it took the shape of a person. Although one couldn't clearly see the person's features, it gave off a sense of majesty. The power of the Huan family's celestial jade is unpredictable. Rumor has it that the celestial ancestor of the Huan family had cultivation equal to a nirvana scrya. I wonder how the Thunder Celestial Temple Messenger will deal with this. However, this is strange. Why doesn't he just take out the treasure the ancestor left behind instead of calling out the jade? Chen Kuizi's eyes were bright as he watched with his divine sense. Inside the Shu family's home, the old man smiled and muttered, "The Huan family's celestial treasure was taken by the other ancestor of the Huan family. The celestial ancestor of the Huan family left behind a decent treasure. However, he would never have thought that the treasure would get a second-step cultivator of the Huan family killed." Inside the Huan family's ancestral home, at the moment the jade appeared, Huan Fengshan stared at Wang Lin. He couldn't see any trace of panic on Wang Lin's face. Seeing that Hua Wuqing was about to activate the spell on the jade, Huan Fengshan revealed a decisive gaze. He took a step forward and said, in a serious tone, "Ancestor, I will not let the Huan family participate in this matter. I'm taking the Huan family and backing out of his matter. If Ancestor wants to protect this Huan Mai, then it is your personal problem. Please don't drag down the entire Huan family." As he spoke, he raised his head toward Wang Lin and clasped his hands. "Fellow cultivator, I'm the Huan family's head, Huan Fengshan. Just as I said now, the Huan family will not participate in this matter. It is your personal grudge with Huan Wuqing. I hope fellow cultivator can understand that we are not together." The Huan family's ancestor coldly looked at Huan Fengshan. The corners of his mouth revealed a grim expression as he looked at the direct descendants and said, "And you guys?" The surrounding Huan family direct descendants all silently pondered for a bit before walking to Huan Fengshan. The Huan family's ancestor let out a grim smile as he coldly looked at the crowd and slowly said, "A bunch of trash." With that, he looked up at Wang Lin. His right hand formed a seal and then he shouted, "Good fortune Jade, Kill this person. The figure formed by the jade began to walk step by step toward Wang Lin. As the person moved, an unimaginable amount of celestial spiritual energy burst forth from him. This celestial spiritual energy was very dense and completely suppressed the spiritual energy on planet Thousand Illusion. This caused explosions to pop up everywhere. This wasn't just happening here, it was happening all over the planet. The celestial guard puppet appeared next to Wang Lin in a flash. The thunder beast did the same. Wang Lin looked at the figure walking toward him. He felt like an illusion had appeared before him. It appeared as if the facial features of the person walking toward him were getting clearer. He was filled with a celestial aura as if he was a real celestial general. Celestial spiritual energy filled this person's body, and a sense of majesty descended. It looked at the world as if everyone were ants. One could even vaguely hear the echo of celestial songs around him. The Huan family's ancestor sneered. "Junior, I want to see what other methods you have besides the sword energy." At this moment, Liu Mai raised her head and looked at Wang Lin. Her eyes were still filled with complex emotions. She touched her bag of holding and then lowered her hands. Wang Lin's eyes were completely calm. He had dared to come here alone, dared to set foot on planet Thousand Illusion, and dared to kill his way to the Huan family. It was all because of that crazy idea he had. Right now this was his strongest killing move. Thinking about the resentful spirit inside the heaven-defying bead, Wang Lin's heart felt a wave of pain. Things of this world can't escape karma. The karmatic cause of yesterday will be the karmatic effect of today. Only by settling one's karma and letting dirt return to dirt, letting dust return to dust, can a cycle be complete. Wang Lin slowly closed his eyes. In his origin soul, a decisive call echoed. "This battle is over, I'm setting you free." A crazed laughter came out from Wang Lin's origin soul. A thick, devilish energy that diffused across the world appeared with this laughter. This devilish energy was so thick that it caused devilish flames to appear in the sky. It immediately collided with the celestial spiritual energy from the figure walking over. Inside the devilish flame, a thick, black smoke came out from the top of Wang Lin's head. This black smoke condensed into the figure of a single horned devil. After it appeared, it let out another crazed laughter. Its voice had endless penetration power. It was like a sharp spike that could penetrate the world. Scattered devil. Wang Lin was planning to refine it into his second origin soul. After a century of refining, all Wang Lin had managed was to deepen his control over it but not truly refine it. After the control imprint was placed on it, its divine sense went into slumber, so its strength was greatly reduced. Otherwise, if it was completely awakened, Wang Lin would have a difficult time controlling it. At the moment the scattered devil appeared for the first time, the Huan family's ancestor's expression became completely pale. He took a few steps back as he stared at the devilish figure for a long time before revealing a bitter expression. So this was his ace. Huan Fengshan gasped and felt glad at his own decision just then. All of the Huan family's disciples behind him felt the same. The Qian family's Qian Kuizi heart jumped like crazy. This scattered devil was too strong. Even with his cultivation, when he saw the scattered devil, he actually shivered. Too terrifying. What exactly is this devil? No wonder he is from the Thunder Celestial Temple, he simply has too many abilities. Thunder Beast, Puppet, Sword Art, and this devil. This person must be an extremely important person of the Thunder Celestial Temple. Otherwise, how could he have all of this? The Shu family's old man was moved for the first time. His divine sense even showed a hint of excitement as he stared at the scattered devil's figure. Scattered devil. A scattered devil created by an ancient devil. The scattered devil appeared and let out a creepy laugh after its roar. It charged out from Wang Lin's head into the air and became a huge figure. It didn't even look at the celestial figure coming toward him but locked his fierce gaze on Wang Lin. "Little cultivator, this devil will fulfill your agreement and help you with this battle. But if you don't release me from your imprint after this, then even if I have to destroy my soul, I'll fight with you to the death." Wang Lin's expression was calm as he said, "Once this battle is over, I'll set you free." "Good." The scattered devil laughed, then his body turned into fog and wrapped around Wang Lin. Its devilish energy turned into even strands that entered through Wang Lin's 7 apertures. In an instant, a powerful devilish aura spread out around Wang Lin. At the same time, he slapped his bag of holding and the devil armor flew out. It immediately wrapped around Wang Lin, forming that fierce full-body devil armor. During this process, Wang Lin revealed a painful expression. However, his gaze became even colder and there were black smoke moving within his eyes. This was why Wang Lin had come by himself. It was because of this crazy idea he had. If he wanted to kill Liu Mai, who was being protected by the Huan family's ancestor, it was simply impossible. Even with the Celestial Guard, it was impossible. The Huan family had been around for countless years, so they must have something special. Wang Lin naturally understood this. This was why he gave up on the scattered devil that he couldn't refine. Instead, he awakened it and offered it freedom to make it fight for him. Although the scattered devil was strong, the imprint was not simple, as it was placed with the help of the ancient demon Bei Lu. This imprint contained a spell from Bei Lu and was deeply imprinted in the scattered devil's soul. Even with the scattered devil's strength, it still couldn't break it in a short period of time. Normally, when being controlled by Wang Lin, it could only use a small portion of its strength. However, this time was different. Under Wang Lin's call, it had completely awakened. Due to the scattered devil's devilish personality, he would normally not communicate with Wang Lin. However, the imprint in his body was too strong, so even after it fully awakened, it couldn't leave Wang Lin's origin soul. Even if it did, it would still have to leave its root in Wang Lin's origin soul. As a result, he made an agreement with Wang Lin for his freedom. It wasn't that he didn't want to occupy Wang Lin's body after awakening, but with the imprint there, all of it was useless. Now that Wang Lin had given it a chance, as long as it fought for Wang Lin would give it its freedom. However, because of ancient demon Bei Lu, unless Wang Lin's cultivation reaches a certain level, it will be impossible to release the seal. However, the scattered devil had other thoughts. As long as Wang Lin gave it its freedom, it was confident that it could destroy ancient demon Bei Lu's seal within several hundred years. At that time, he will truly be carefree. The scattered devil entered Wang Lin's head. Devilish flame appeared in Wang Lin's eyes as he walked toward the celestial figure. He didn't use any spell and directly threw a punch at it. Wang Lin's was currently in a state of separation. His body was being controlled by the scattered devil, and all of the celestial spiritual energy inside his body had turned into devilish energy in an instant. With the scattered devil's soul entering his body, it all became devilish energy. This punch contained the power of the scattered devil and the force of the devil armor. This punch turned into a dragon made of black light as it charged toward the celestial figure. The celestial figure's right hand formed a seal and pointed forward. The surrounding celestial spiritual energy immediately condensed to form a giant vortex. It rushed toward the black dragon, and in an instant, both turned into nothingness. The celestial figure withdrew his hand and opened his arms. Each of his hands had a different seal, and endless spiritual energy gathered here from all over planet Thousand Illusion. Through a mysterious method, the spiritual energy was transformed into celestial spiritual energy. This celestial spiritual energy was too dense. It was as if it had become solid and then condensed like crazy above the celestial figure's right hand. In the blink of an eye, there was suddenly a gap in the cycle of spiritual energy on planet Thousand Illusion. At this instant, planet Thousand Illusion had no spiritual energy. All of the spiritual energy was transformed into celestial spiritual energy, and it formed a milky white ball above the palm of the celestial figure. This method caused Wang Lin's eyes to narrow, but the scattered devil controlling his body coldly smiled. A mere celestial transformation spell. It is only a spell from a branch of the ancient demon clan, and you dare to display it before me. Wang Lin's eyes were calm, but the devilish energy around him became even stronger. Under the control of the scattered devil, he pointed at the sky with his right hand and said, "Ancient devil." These 2 words were said in the language of the ancient order. At this instant, Wang Lin's right hand formed a claw and was surrounded with devilish flame. The flame left his body and formed a giant devil claw several dozen feet long. Reaching out toward the earth below him, Wang Lin spoke once more in the words of the ancient order. "Extract the planet's soul." At this moment, Planet Thousand Illusion trembled and an ancient aura began to rise up. The scattered devil's grasp was able to pull out Planet Thousand Illusion's planet soul. If you are using all the spiritual energy on the planet, then I'll use the planet's soul. Let us see which is stronger. The scattered devil laughed and released an astonishing amount of devilish flames. Although his body was being controlled by the scattered devil, Wang Lin still had a direct connection to his body. This gave him a very deep impression of the ancient devil's planet soul extraction spell and allowed him to gain some enlightenment. This wasn't the first time Wang Lin had seen a soul extraction spell. Back in the demon spirit land, he saw Greed take out a celestial mountain and extract the mountain's soul. The scene from then shocked him greatly. This kind of spell was very powerful and was not something ordinary cultivators could control and master. Now that he was able to personally experience the scattered devil controlling his body and pulling out the planet's soul, he could see that this spell was millions of times more profound than Greed's spell. Everything in the world, even each blade of grass, has life, and that means they have souls. These souls are very elusive and are impossible to see, but they can be clearly felt. For example, if a mortal looks up at a tall peak, he feels a sense of shock and pressure. The pressure comes from the mountain's soul. The mortal's eyes can only see the mountain, while the pressure of its soul can only be sensed. If even mountains and rivers have souls, of course a cultivation planet filled with spiritual energy does too. It was very different from when the spiritual energy was taken away. This time the planet didn't tremble in the slightest, but a very ancient aura appeared and slowly spread as if the planet had awakened. This ancient aura wasn't something that could form in merely hundreds of thousands of years. It was something that had slowly formed over countless years without any joy or sadness. This aura only contained a sense of inclusion. Over the countless years, it included everything on the planet. The scattered devil controlled Wang Lin's body and reached out with his right hand. His aura began to gather in his palm like crazy, and in the blink of an eye, it turned into a grey mist. The ancient aura continued to fuse with the grey mist and compress. Explosions that sounded like bolts of thunder came from the grey mist. Perhaps it was an illusion, but at this moment, Wang Lin felt like Planet Thousand Illusion had suddenly lost its vitality. The grass withered, the rivers disappeared, and the peaks cracked. With the grey mist in hand, the scattered devil laughed and then charged directly toward the celestial figure. The scattered devil moved like lightning and closed in on the celestial figure with the soul of Planet Thousand Illusion. Wang Lin had a feeling that his body had fused with the soul of Planet Thousand Illusion. This attack was not with his own power but with the power of the entire planet. The celestial figure also took a step forward with all the celestial spiritual energy transformed from all the spiritual energy on Planet Thousand Illusion. It waved its hand and charged directly at the scattered devil. Two unimaginable spells came closer and closer until they finally collided. Boom! 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 A thunderous roar echoed across the planet. At this moment, about 30 to 40% of Planet Thousand Illusion's spirit veins collapsed. This produced powerful shockwaves that spread in all directions. The powerful impact caused all of the Huan family members to immediately retreat. They began activating the spiritual or celestial spiritual energies inside their bodies. They felt like if they didn't do this, the impact would cause their bodies to collapse. The celestial figure suddenly collapsed into smoke and began to dissipate. At the moment it completely dissipated, a piece of jade appeared. The moment the jade appeared, a series of crackling sounds came from it. The jade shattered and turned to dust with all of the Huan family members watching. However, at the moment it shattered, a ray of white light came out from the jade. The white light formed a light screen that covered everything within 5 kilometers. The Huan family's ancestor's face was pale. The family had passed down this message: should the jade shatter, there will be one more defensive spell left. However, this spell was very weak. Its only value was to buy the Huan family some time in a time of crisis to escape, surrender, commit suicide, or leave their final words. The scattered devil's right hand trembled and then Planet Thousand Illusion's soul disappeared. The ancient aura merged back with the earth and gradually disappeared. The biggest benefactor in this battle was Wang Lin. A battle using these kinds of spells was something someone of his cultivation level could never hope to experience. It was completely above him. Whether it was the celestial figure or the scattered devil, both had the power of a second-step cultivator. For Wang Lin, it was as if this battle had opened a tightly sealed door for him. At this moment, a small gap appeared in the door, allowing him to see the next level. It allowed him to personally feel the power of the next step. This is the power of the second step. Compared to Greed, the Huan family's ancestor, Chen Kuizi, who are all also at the second step, it is clear that they have just entered the second step. The second step of cultivation is too terrifying. Wang Lin's mind was shaken. During this battle, the scattered devil brought him unimaginable benefits by controlling his body. The scattered devil only used one spell, but this one spell was activated through Wang Lin's body. Everything that was hidden when looking from the outside was clearly displayed before Wang Lin. This included the way the celestial spiritual energy moved in his body and the commanding aura when extracting the soul. All of this opened a big gap in the door that was blocking Wang Lin's path to the second step. Never had Wang Lin wanted to reach the second step as he did now. Even my celestial guard can't even withstand one hit of one of these spells. The second step of cultivation is very strong. Each battle can easily collapse a cultivation planet. This is very close to the scene I saw when I received the ancient god's inheritance. Not only him, even the Huan family members all seemed enlightened after the battle. It was as if a new world was opened to them. However, compared to Wang Lin, their gains were really insignificant. This kind of opportunity was simply too scarce. In this world, how many second-step cultivators as strong as Ling Tianhu would descend upon someone and have a fight with someone who was also in the second step? If second-step cultivators really needed to battle seriously, they would just personally come. They would rarely battle through controlling someone else's body. The scattered devil controlled Wang Lin to look down at the celestial spiritual energy light screen and let out a light snort. His right hand formed a fist and he threw a punch. Just a casual punch caused a sonic boom. This punch carried with it a thick devilish energy as it fell on the light screen. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Cracks appeared on the light screen, but it didn't collapse. Under the light screen, the Huan family's ancestor's face was deadly pale. Huan Fengshan said, in serious tone, "Ancestor, hand over Liu Mai." He let out a sigh. Although the other party was only an ascendant cultivator, his magical treasures and spells were simply too strong, especially after the devil appeared. Even if the ancestor's cultivation hadn't fallen, the ancestor still wouldn't be a match. The Huan family's ancestor looked at the not far away Huan Fengshan and withdrew his gaze. He then gloomily looked at Liu Mai. The Huan family's ancestor hesitated for a bit and slowly said, "Liu Mai." However, before he finished speaking, Liu Mai looked up at him with her beautiful eyes. She moved the hair that had scattered behind her head and softly said, "Master, if Liu Mai leaves, I'll definitely die." Boom. The celestial spiritual energy light screen withstood another one of the scattered devil's attacks and even more cracks appeared. When the light screen was about to collapse, the scattered devil's arrogant laughter came from outside. The Huan family's ancestor's expression was gloomy. He was just unwilling to surrender Liu Mai like this. However, if he didn't hand her over now, once that scattered devil descended, it would be impossible for him to resist it with his own power. The Chen family wouldn't help him, and the Shu family had promised to help but still hadn't appeared, so clearly something was wrong. Right now he could only depend on himself. His eyes became cold as he stared at Liu Mai and said, "Liu Mai, since you will die if you go out, why don't you give up your domain to this old man? With the help of your domain, I can complete my identityless heavenly devil Dao, and then I might stand a chance." He took Liu Mai as his disciple because she had showed a trace of the 10,000 illusion heavenly devil Dao. The Huan family's celestial ancestor once left 2 domain spells. They were respectively the heavenly devil Dao and the identityless Dao. However, the heavenly devil Dao was simply too difficult, so up to this day, no one in the Huan family had successfully learned it. These 2 spells were in fact split from one domain. That domain was the identityless heavenly devil Dao. This identityless heavenly devil Dao was formed before the celestial realms collapsed. The Huan family's celestial ancestor had gotten entangled with a heavenly devil, and after combining with it, he gained comprehension in this domain. However, celestials don't cultivate domains, so he took this comprehension and gifted it to his descendants. After the Huan family lost their protection when the celestial realm collapsed, they were able to firmly keep their place because of the identityless heavenly devil Dao. However, their glory was no more. It was because of Liu Mai's 10,000 heavenly devil domain that Huan Wuqing was tempted. To make it easier to devour her later, he lowered his own cultivation to change her bloodline. He also sped up her cultivation. Although this wouldn't stop her from increasing her cultivation level, it made it so that she would only be able to reach the yin and yang stage. As a result, she would be in his complete control and wouldn't cause any problems when he devours her in the future. He had calculated it all and just needed to wait for Liu Mai to reach the yin and yang stage. Then, after her domain underwent its transformation and became the Real 10,000 illusion heavenly devil Dao, he would devour it and cultivate the true domain of the Huan family, the identityless heavenly devil Dao. However, all of this was completely destroyed by Wang Lin, someone who had come out of nowhere. Instead of handing over Liu Mai, he might as well devour her now and still get a trace of the 10,000 illusion heavenly devil Dao. In the future, he would just have to be diligent in comprehending Dao and maybe he would achieve a grand Dao one day. With this idea in mind, Huan Wuqing was staring at Liu Mai, and his eyes revealed a strange gaze. Liu Mai's eyes were calm. With her intelligence, she had already seen some clues back when they were in the Alliance star system. She knew that no one showed kindness unless it was toward loved ones. Even if there was any, there was definitely some purpose behind it all. However, Huan Wuqing's power was not something she could resist. She could only pretend to not know and be brought to the All-Heaven star system and accept the bloodline ritual. From the moment Huan Wuqing was willing to damage his cultivation to help her achieve the peak of the late stage of Ascendant, she was confident that this Huan Wuqing had some deep motive behind all of this. However, she was powerless to resist. With her previous status as the disciple of the Suzaku, how could she not know the damage of increasing one's cultivation level so forcibly? Liu Mai softly said, "You have to promise me two things. This video will end here.